The Israelites sent out spies before entering the Promised Land. Within the text of the book The Art of War by Sun Tzu, which is a book that's studied today by men within the intelligence field, he discusses hidden provocation agents. Now, Sun Tzu was born in 534 BC, and he lived most likely until 453 BC. And he said, in his words, he said, some men were farmers and some were agent provocateurs. Now, today, both occupations still exist. The word of God is always accurate, for it warns that people, God's people, will be destroyed for the lack of knowledge. The difficulty in obtaining honest information in today's technological age could be aptly described in the following manner. If you are diligent and you work hard, you will find some truth. If you are already wise and you work really hard, you may even find the whole truth, or as much as someone wants you to know of it. And if you are phenomenally perseverant and work your butt off, then you might even go on to find the real truth. But no one ever finds the whole real truth. Let's talk about the art of deceit. The Illuminati have refined the art of deception far beyond what the common man has imagined. The very life and liberty of humanity requires the unmasking of their deceptions. And while the CIA pretends to have our nation's best interests at heart, anyone who seriously studies the consequences of deception on society will tell you that that deception will seriously damage any society until it collapses. Now, a prime example of our government's breaking the trust of its citizens and engaging in deception is exhibited in the following story of what happened to a very good brother and a very close friend of mine. Let's go to the videotape.
Blue Box Entertainment News.
Live, local, late-breaking news.
Hello to everyone watching at home. I'm Candy Curtis of BBE News.
Breaking news.
In what might be the second biggest story of 2016, a local New York man buys a new MacBook computer on Amazon.com and then faces 4 years in prison because of it. Apple put government spyware from the Department of Defense on the computer with the intentions of sending it to Dubai. But somehow the computer managed to get into the retail chain on Amazon.com, where Ty Holmes purchased it.
When he called me, he was a mess, emotionally and mentally.
It was just devastating. I've never seen him like that before.
And it was damaging to not only him, but to his business partners.
This one is not good.
After which he was put under the threat of arrest unless it was returned.
Well, what he do, this guy? He won't.
We're here in front of the Bronx residence of Mr. Tyrone Holmes, community activist, producer, videographer, and church organist.
That computer belongs to a subcontractor of the Department of Defense.
Where are you at this point?
Just trying to find myself, actually.
Something to think about is, if Apple put government spyware for the Department of Defense on the computer that Mr. Holmes bought, how many other computers are out there just like this for other unwitting people to purchase?
What if there are some spies looking at this thing that contains spyware?
In a written statement, Mr. Holmes says he still doesn't know what these two giant companies got him involved in. I'm Candy Curtis of BBE News.
This has been a BBE breaking news story.
Hi, this is Chipper Jones, the Atlanta Braves. I'd like to give a shout out to Blue Box Entertainment. Y'all keep it rolling.
When we order things online, we put our trust in the companies we are spending our money with. Trust in some form is the foundation upon which humans build relationships. When trust is shattered, human institutions collapse. If a person distrusts the words of another person, he will have difficulty also trusting that that person will treat him fairly, have his best interests at heart, and even refrain from harming him. With such fears, an atmosphere is created that will eventually work to destroy or wear down the cooperation that is needed between people in order to make things progress. Government intelligence agencies have spread the cancer of deception into all walks of life, so that this cancer is contaminating and killing anything of value in the United States. The soon-to-come death of this nation's sovereignty, as well as the destruction of this nation's morals, are the results of this cancer. Knowledge is power, and lies, the untruths, diminish the power of the deceived. Deception obscures the alternatives that people have. It also clouds up various objectives that people work toward. Some people give up certain objectives due to their misperceptions that the objective is undesirable or, worse, unattainable. How many people do you know who gave up their dreams because they just didn't see it happening? I can just tell you, all the people, even today, people my age who sit around and talk about what could have, should have, would have, because they allowed something to cloud their judgment and they didn't trust and have faith that God would, if he led them to it, he would lead them through it. The government has in place today many types of spies. In the clip that I showed you earlier, the government was whining about their spyware that they sold by mistake. But they also have humans that they have placed among us to act as covert agents, and I'm just going to run you down a few of them. Sleeper agents. Well, before I go into that, let me just give you a short definition of what a government agent is. So, forgive me, we'll get back to the sleeper agent. The official definition of a government agent is a representative or an official of a government or administrative department of a government, or an agent or representative who acts on behalf of other persons or organizations. It can also be an FBI agent or a G-Man, which is a special law enforcement agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Or it can be a revenue agent or a customs official. And these are government officials who are responsible for the monitoring of and the collection of illegal revenue and or contraband, either locally or internationally. A T-Man is a special law enforcement agent of the United States Treasury. Now, I'm going to go into the various types of agents that exist, aka spies within our country, the US. Sleeper agents. The idea of placing someone somewhere in society and letting them lead a normal life for years without ever being used is designed to provide a legitimate smokescreen about what they are all about. Mind control slaves make excellent sleepers. The concept of making these sleeper agents is not a secret, nor is it anything new. The elites, they like to infiltrate popular culture so they can inject their destructive ideas into them. By doing this, they can manipulate how we think and act. Therefore, they can control and divide us without our knowledge. For example, certain popular street gangs were created by them to instigate violence and race wars. The different political parties, such as Democrat or Republican or even liberal, are also tools they use to create conflicts between us. They know that in order to control us, they need to divide us and make us fight within each other. A united country, despite our name, the United States, that's hardly what we are. Thus, a united country is harder to control than a divided country. The FBI began COINTELPRO, short for counterintelligence program in 1956 to disrupt the activities of the Communist parties of the United States. In the 1960s, it was expanded to include a number of other domestic groups, such as the Klan, the Socialist Workers' Party, and the Black Panther Party. All COINTEL operations were ended in 1971. However, a horse of a different color is still a horse. Again, the agents. There are agents of influence. These agents can be unwitting and under mind control or ideologically motivated to use their positions of influence to sway the minds of others. Examples of agents of influence are anchormen on TV, journalists, labor leaders, TV commentators, scholars who are quoted by the media, politicians, and even some religious leaders. And this is why we have to learn to eat the meat and throw away the bones. A lot of what's fed to us is complete and utter nonsense and garbage and lies. And it doesn't matter where it's coming from. Everything you see on the news is not fact. Everything that your religious leader is telling you during service is not always fact. Remember, some people, especially the higher up the chain you go, some of these people are on government payrolls and they are told what to feed the people in order to distract them, to mislead them, and to just outright lie. Which brings me to the confusion agent. This is an agent whose job it is to produce confusion by disseminating confounding information. So this is, and you know, this is something that is not new. There are many people who solely exist to confuse others. And on the internet, we call them trolls. They look for a topic or a thread that they can join so they can throw something out there, usually that has either nothing to do with the topic or is just a garbled bunch of nonsense, and sometimes very illiterate and sometimes even very vulgar, just to throw confusion in the thread. And it's usually a thread that is quite important and necessary to disseminate information, but they throw in the confusion in order to get people distracted. Contract agent. These are rogue agents, such as the mob, who the CIA get to do particular jobs on contract. These connections can be denied, and they usually are. But contract agents have been behind many presidential assassinations and other high-profile crimes within government. Deep cover agents. These are quite similar to a sleeper agent, and they're often a programmed multiple or person with mind control programming who has been a long-term sleeper agent. The difference is that the deep cover agent will be awoken for a period of time when it is time to fulfill a particular assignment. And you can think along the lines of the Manchurian Candidate and others who have been in this type of covert operation. Then we have the disinformation agent. This is a highly placed agent who passes disinformation on to other governments. So they work within the government, but they are there strictly to mislead other governments. The notional agent is a fictitious, non-existent agent which is created with a real-looking identity to mislead. And we have the provocation agent, or the agent provocateur, which is an agent sent in to provoke and destabilize the target group to do foolish things. And it was said that during the 60s, there were many of these that were placed within the Black Panther organization, and they were there strictly to stir up trouble. And that's, you know, divide and conquer. That's one of the most popular government tools. We also have the spoon feeder agent. Now, this is someone who dribbles out legitimate information that is often done to build up a person's credentials, and they're considered bona fide. However, they're also known to dribble out illegitimate information, incorrect information, lies. Lots of people who pretend to expose the New World Order are actually spoon feeder agents who provide very little new information and tons of already known data, and then they sprinkle in just a little bit of disinformation to mislead the people. Generally, the spoon feeders increase their percentage of disinformation once they gain respectability. One example of this is a viral video of a supposedly homeless woman who is said to have lived in a hotel room in Trump Tower for 8 years rent-free, courtesy of Donald Trump. Trump Tower, however, has restaurants, stores, and condominiums, but no hotel. And in a follow-up with Jennifer Rodstrom, who's a spokesperson for the Trump hotels, she clearly said there is no validity to the video. So the video was posted during the election, and it was to show that the woman happened to be a black woman, and it was to show that Donald Trump is a nice guy and a friend to black people by virtue of letting this black woman live in his hotel for 8 years rent-free. However, it was a lie. And we have the covert agent. This type of agent works within the police agencies. Now, the covert agent are the police, they're actual police who are separated into two groups. One group looks like police, and the other group looks like prisoners, fellow detainees, and are primed to identify with a suspect. So after a particular suspect arrives, he is first interrogated by the police agency, and if efforts to obtain information fail, the suspect is then placed in a room or a cell with the group that's pretending to be fellow detainees. This police group, pretending to be detainees, asks the suspect who he is and to explain his credentials under the pretense of finding out his rep. And in letting his guard down, the suspect explains what he is all about, and he usually gives out the very information that the police wanted to get in the first place, without even knowing that he's actually talking to the police. So I want to say to people, citizens beware. It's no secret. There's so much more I could tell you, but I have to stop here because it would take hours for me to get out everything that I have to tell you. But I need you to know it's no secret why there is no money for schools, yet there is money for building new prisons. Prisons are big business, which is why we now have privately owned prisons. People are getting locked up for the most ridiculous, insane infractions, which in many cases are not even their fault, like what happened to my friend Ty. Be mindful when you purchase things online. Do not accept every friend request, and get all the knowledge that you can, because the lack of it will be the death of you. I want to end like I always do in prayer. Father God, I ask your blessing upon this message because it is so very important, as all of your divine messages that are given to me through you to give to the people. But this one in particular, Lord, I felt compelled to share with the people because now we are almost in what it will be known as the martial law, where people are going to be gathered up, some without even knowing what the charges are, some tossed away and forgotten in prisons. And I need the people to be cautious and to use discernment and to realize that they don't need every gadget and every device, that many of these things are to their detriment and will lead them right into the hands of the enemy, these tracking devices and all these location softwares and all of these things, Lord. Help the people to to go back to the old way when they simply concerned themselves with shelter and with food, and not given in to the desires of their natures, because these are all entrapments, Lord, and they're designed to entrap people. I fear that many more will suffer, as my friend Ty did, with unknowingly purchasing things that are then tracked to them, and being told that they have violated some law and threatened with incarceration. Lord, I ask you to show favor in my friend Ty's court battle with these people. He has almost lost his mind as a result of the torment and the suffering that he had to go through as a result of this incident. I ask you to cover his mind and restore his health, Lord. I ask you to make those who are responsible pay for the pain and the suffering that they have put on this man unjustly. And so that they will, the only thing they understand is their money, Lord. So I ask you to part them between them and their money. Make a sea like the Red Sea that they cannot cross to get to it. And give it to the righteous, as you said in your word. You would give to the righteous I can't remember it, but you know the verse I'm referring to, Lord. And I just thank you. I thank you so much, Lord, for the ability to make the videos. I thank you for the subscribers. I thank you for the people that check in. And I thank you for the people who have the courage to share this message, this most important message. I bless you, Lord, and I thank you in Jesus' mighty name.